Welcome back, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're watching the Oilers Rundown. Apologies, haven't got updates on the channel here for a few days. I was going to post my thoughts about the second rookie game, but needed a little bit of time away, so I am officially back today. And unfortunately, on Sunday, it was another loss for the Edmonton Oilers rookies, losing back-to-back to the Flames rookies. But ultimately, those games were about development, giving us a first look at a guy like Ike Howard, who I'm going to have more on in a moment. But different players like Marhala, Connor Clattenburg coming through and showing big in front of both the Oilers and Flames crowds. So they were both ended up being close games and ultimately games that are, like I said, just for development. So the final score really not too concerning, but we want to see some of these guys develop even more here during the preseason, which will officially get underway on Sunday. And we have training camp getting underway tomorrow for the Edmonton Oilers, and I'll have more on that in a moment as well. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Ike Howard and where things stand with him. I know we're all really excited about Howard. He came in here in a big deal. The Oilers moving out their first-round pick, Sam O'Reilly, for Ike Howard, and there's definitely some people a little bit concerned after those two rookie games. I've kind of voiced my disappointment a bit. Not so much that he had to come in and score 6 goals or anything like that, but when you have a guy who we think is going to be jumping into the National Hockey League this year, or potentially anyway, you kind of want him to stand out amongst the crowd, and he had some good plays. He wasn't exactly terrible or anything like that, but ultimately a player, like I said, you're expecting more from, and he was just kind of average in those two games. So I'm not going to put a ton of stock into it because it's the first two competitive games that him and everyone else on the two rosters there had played in forever. So you're going to come in, you're not going to be 100% here, but I do kind of want to see a step taken by Ike Howard in the preseason, in the games that he does get involved in there, and I want him to stand out a little bit more if he is indeed going to be an NHL player this year. I know it was speculated on the Got Your Back podcast that Ike Howard might end up actually being in the American Hockey League with the Bakersfield Condors for most of this season. If that does happen, it's certainly not the end of the world. The Oilers have him signed to a 3-year entry-level contract, and this is a guy that definitely has to come through, has to perform for this team going forward. They don't have a lot in the cupboard, as we know, so they need Ike Howard to be a guy that comes through, that makes it in the NHL, that can make an impact. So if he needs a bit of time in the AHL with the Bakersfield Condors, that's certainly not the end of the world. The Oilers do have a pretty stacked lineup here, so they can probably get by without him for a while. I don't want him in over his head just to say that he's on the team, but if he is going to be on the team, like I said, I'd like to see more from him in the preseason. So that's kind of my thoughts on Ike Howard so far. He's a guy I'm rooting for. I want to see him succeed here, so hopefully the Oilers can put him in the best possible position to do just that. And as I mentioned to start off the video, we got training camp kicking off tomorrow for the Edmonton Oilers with medical and fitness testing at Rogers Place. Oilers GM Stan Bowman, as well as select players, will also address the media tomorrow, so we can look forward to that. The Oilers training camp roster will feature 55 players, 6 goaltenders, 16 defensemen, and 33 forwards. I'll post it for you here for you guys to check out, although it's probably going to be easier to bring it up on a laptop or phone there for a bit of a closer look. No real surprises on the training camp roster for the Edmonton Oilers, no PTOs, anything like that. So there shouldn't be any huge surprises. We know guys like Matt Savoy, Ike Howard are going to try and break their way onto this team. Matt Savoy looked excellent in those two rookie games, so we'll have to see how he looks against tougher competition in the preseason, but he's a guy we expect to be on this team. Ike Howard will be fighting for a spot. Noah Philp, David Tomasek, Josh Szymanski, the list goes on of guys that are looking to solidify spots on this team, so there'll be a lot of great internal battles, but right now we are not expecting any PTO battles coming in here for the Edmonton Oilers. There could be some surprises. Mike Hoffman was a late addition last year, so we'll see if anything comes down the pipe tomorrow, but as of now, not expecting any PTOs with so much internal competition. Guys like Klim Kostin and stuff who were rumored, they just really don't make sense here with the Edmonton Oilers at this time. But Like I said, we'll see if we get any surprises tomorrow, and we'll have more to discuss then once we hear from Stan Bowman and some of the players regarding Connor McDavid. Nothing really new to report there. Dialogue continues. They still haven't really exchanged contract numbers, but we know that's going to be a very short conversation when it does happen. Basically, the Oilers are just going to give Connor McDavid whatever he wants, but Connor McDavid's still discussing things with his agent, with his family, with the team, I'm sure, and finding out what the best course of action will be for him. But as I've said many times, I expect Connor McDavid to get signed here before the regular season kicks off, but even if it's not before then, I believe he will sign an extension with the Edmonton Oilers. So that's all I have for now, guys, but I'll have more for you tomorrow after we get training camp kicked off here. On ice stuff starts on Thursday, and like I said, we got our first preseason game on Sunday, a split squad Battle of Alberta with the Calgary Flames. Let me know your thoughts on all the latest in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan.